At 2:47 a.m., on a rain-soaked Seoul street, Minji found a bleeding stranger collapsed against a dumpster, clutching her terrified 4-year-old son in his arms. The man's expensive suit was torn. His eyes, even fading, burned with the kind of authority that made generals kneel. Blood pooled beneath him like spilled wine. Her son whispered one word, "Mama, help." She didn't know the dying man was Kang Joon-ho, the most feared Korean Mafia boss in Seoul. She didn't know that saving him would mark her for death. She didn't know that this mistake would become the only destiny worth living. While I tell you this story, one that will make you feel many emotions, click the subscribe button. It's the only way to support us. And thank you. Minji's hands ached constantly. At 29, they looked 50. Cracked knuckles, chemical burns from cheap cleaning products, permanent tremor from fear that never left her bones. She scrubbed toilets in 7 different office buildings across Seoul. 16-hour days, $300 a week. Barely enough for the moldy studio apartment in Gwanak-gu, where she and her son, Tae-min, shared a single futon. Every morning at 4 a.m., she kissed his sleeping forehead and whispered the same prayer. God, just one more day, keep us invisible. Invisibility was survival. Her ex-husband, Dong-wook, had taught her that with his fists. 2 years of marriage, 4 broken ribs, 1 miscarriage, and the final night when she ran with baby Tae-min wrapped in a blanket, escaping through a bathroom window while Dong-wook destroyed their apartment in a drunken rage. The restraining order meant nothing. He still found her, twice in the last year. Once at the subway station, grabbing her wrist so hard it bruised purple. Once outside Taemin's daycare, watching from across the street with those dead shark eyes. The police did nothing. Domestic matter, they said. He's the father. So Minji learned to clean late shifts, learned to take different routes home, learned to pray while scrubbing floors, begging God for a miracle she didn't deserve. Tonight, she'd worked the late shift at a corporate tower in Gangnam. The elevator ride down was empty, except for her reflection. Gaunt face, exhausted eyes, the kind of tired that sleep couldn't fix. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart stopped. She answered because she always did. Terrified it might be about Taemin. Minji. Dong-wook's voice was soft, poisonously soft. I know where you're working now. Click. Her legs buckled. She caught herself against the elevator wall, gasping. The doors opened to the ground floor. She ran. The night air hit her face like a slap. She stumbled toward the subway, vision blurring with panicked tears. Taemin. She had to get to Taemin. The babysitter, Mrs. Choi, the grandmother on the 3rd floor, was watching him. But what if Dong-wook knew? What if he was already there? Minji's lungs burned as she ran through Gangnam's bright streets, past luxury stores and couples laughing over late-night soju. She didn't belong here. She never had. The subway ride to Gwanak-gu took 37 minutes. It felt like 37 years. When she finally reached her neighborhood, the narrow alleys where streetlights flickered and trash bags piled high, she saw Mrs. Choi's light still on. Thank God. She climbed the stairs 3 at a time, knocked frantically. Mrs. Choi opened the door, confused. Minji? What's wrong? Taemin? He's sleeping. The old woman pointed to the couch where her son lay curled under a blanket, his small chest rising and falling peacefully. Minji collapsed against the doorframe, sobbing. That man called again, she whispered. He knows where I work. Mrs. Choi's expression hardened. You need to leave Seoul. I can't afford to leave. I can barely afford rice. The old woman squeezed her shoulder. Then you need a miracle. Minji gathered Taemin in her arms, he barely stirred, and carried him down the dark hallway to their studio. She locked 3 separate locks, put a chair against the door, checked the window latch twice, then sat on the floor beside Taemin's sleeping form and prayed the only prayer she knew. God, I'm so tired. I can't do this anymore. Please, please, I'll do anything. Outside, Seoul hummed with indifferent life. Somewhere in the darkness, Dong-wook was hunting. And in another part of the city, a man named Kang Joon-ho was bleeding out in an alley, about to collide with a desperate woman who would change everything. Minji didn't sleep that night. She sat guard until dawn, watching shadows move across the ceiling, listening for footsteps that never came. At 5 a.m., Taemin woke up hungry. She made him ramyeon with an egg, the last egg, and watched him eat with the fierce love of someone who knew how easily everything could be taken away. "Mama, why do you look sad?" he asked, noodles hanging from his mouth. She kissed his head. "I'm not sad, baby. I'm just tired." He hugged her neck. "Don't be tired. I love you." That afternoon, her phone rang again. Different unknown number. She didn't answer. Then a text. "Minji, it's about your son. Answer now." Her world tilted. She called back with shaking hands. A woman's voice. "Mrs. Park, this is Sunshine Daycare. Taemin wasn't picked up this morning. Is everything all right?" Confusion crashed through terror. "What?" "I dropped him off myself. Our records show no drop-off today." Minji's heart stopped. She looked at the clock. 2:15 p.m. "I'll be right there." She ran. Minji sprinted through the narrow alleys of Gwanak-gu, phone pressed to her ear, calling Mrs. Choi. "He's with me," the old woman answered, breathless. "I'm sorry, I took him to the market. I thought you knew. He wanted to buy you flowers." Minji stopped running, bent double, gasping. Relief and rage mixed into something like hysteria. "Don't ever—" She couldn't finish, just breathed. "Thank you, I'm coming." She hung up and leaned against a graffitied wall, trying to calm her racing heart. That's when she heard it. A child crying. Not just any cry. Taemin's cry. She knew that sound the way mothers know their children's heartbeats. Minji turned the corner into a darker alley, where dumpsters and restaurant exhaust vents created pockets of shadow. There. Taemin stood frozen, staring at something on the ground. "Mama!" He ran to her, sobbing. She grabbed him, checked him frantically. "What happened? What's wrong?" He pointed behind him. That's when she saw the man, collapsed against the brick wall, legs stretched out, head tilted back. Blood soaked through his white dress shirt, expensive fabric ruined by a dark stain spreading from his left shoulder. His suit was tailored, probably cost more than Minji made in a year. His face was sharp, handsome in a dangerous way, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. His eyes opened. Even dying, they held absolute authority. "Help." His voice was low, controlled despite the pain. Not begging. Commanding. Minji pulled Taemin behind her. "I'll call an ambulance." "No!" The word cut like a blade. "No hospitals, no police." Her survival instincts screamed. This was gang business, Mafia. The kind of trouble that got innocent people killed. "I can't help you," she said, backing away. "Your son." The man's gaze fixed on Taemin. "He brought you here. That means something." "That means nothing." "We're leaving." She turned. "They'll find him." The man's words stopped her cold. "The men who did this, they saw your son. They'll come back to make sure there are no witnesses." Minji's blood turned to ice. "You're lying." "Am I?" He coughed, winced. "Look at your son's hand." She did. Taemin's palm was smudged with ink, like someone had grabbed him, left fingerprints. "They marked him," the man said, "so they could identify him later. That's how the Jade Serpent gang works. They don't leave loose ends." Terror clawed up Minji's throat. "What do you want?" "Help me. I'll protect you both. You can't even protect yourself." "I can." His eyes burned with something fiercer than pain. "But not if I bleed out in this alley. Get me somewhere safe. I'll handle the rest." This was insane. Helping a criminal. Getting involved in gang violence. But Taemin's hand, that ink smudge, it was real. Minji made a choice born of desperation. "Where?" The man reached into his jacket. She flinched. But he pulled out a phone, not a weapon. Tapped the screen with bloody fingers. "Black car. 2 minutes." "How?" A sleek Mercedes turned into the alley, silent as a shark. The driver stepped out, tall, expressionless, moving with military precision. He assessed the situation in one glance, then lifted the wounded man with practiced efficiency. "Ma'am," he looked at Minji. "Get in." "I don't—" "They're already coming back." The driver's tone was flat, factual. "You have 30 seconds to decide if you want to be here when they arrive." Taemin tugged her hand. "Mama, I'm scared." The decision made itself. She climbed into the Mercedes with her son, and the wounded stranger who had just become their only chance at survival. The car moved through Seoul like water, smooth, fast, untraceable. Minji held Taemin close, heart hammering. The wounded man, she still didn't know his name, watched her with eyes that saw too much. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Don't thank me. Just keep your promise." "I always do." He closed his eyes, breathing carefully. "My name is Kang Jun-ho." The name meant nothing to her, but the driver's slight reaction, a tensing of shoulders, a glance in the rearview mirror, told her it should. "Who are you?" she whispered. Jun-ho smiled, painful and sharp. "Someone who shouldn't have involved a woman and child. But God has a sense of humor." They drove to Gangnam, to a building that looked like a normal luxury apartment complex. Inside, it was a fortress. Armed men in suits, cameras everywhere, steel doors that locked with codes and fingerprints. A doctor was already waiting, a woman in her 50s who worked with the calm of someone used to bullet wounds. "Take the child to the guest room," Jun-ho ordered, even as they laid him on a medical table. "Give them food, safety, anything they need." A young woman, maybe 25, Bayan with kind eyes, approached Minji. "Please, come with me." Minji didn't move. "What is this place?" Jun-ho met her gaze. "Sanctuary, for both of us." The truth hit her then, watching these people move around him with reverence and fear. This wasn't just a criminal. This was a king in an underworld kingdom, and she'd just saved his life. The guest room was bigger than Minji's entire apartment. Soft carpet, clean sheets, a bathroom with hot water that actually stayed hot. Taemin fell asleep immediately, exhausted from terror, curled in the center of a bed that could fit 4 people. Minji sat beside him, watching his chest rise and fall, unable to process what had happened. A knock on the door made her jump. The kind young woman entered with a tray, rice, soup, banchan, protein, real food. "I'm Hae-won," she said softly. "I manage the household. If you need anything, please ask. I need to leave." Hae-won's smile was sympathetic. "Mr. Kang requests you stay until the situation is resolved." "Requests? It's safer here." Minji stood, anger replacing fear. "I didn't agree to be a prisoner." "You're not." Hae-won set down the tray. "But the Jade Serpents know your son's face. If you leave, they'll find you within hours. Here, you're protected." The truth of it settled like a stone in Minji's stomach. She'd traded one prison for another. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every sound made her tense. Every shadow seemed like a threat. At 3 a.m., she left Taemin sleeping and ventured into the hallway. The penthouse was silent, lit by soft ambient lights. She found Jun-ho in a room that overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline, sitting in a leather chair, shirt off, bandages wrapped around his shoulder. He didn't turn when she entered, but his voice acknowledged her. "Can't sleep? This is insane." "Yes. I saved your life. You owe me. Let me go." "I am letting you go." He finally looked at her. "Alive. If you leave now, you'll be dead by morning." "You don't know that. I've been in this world for 15 years. His voice was hard. "I know exactly that." Minji wrapped her arms around herself. "Who are the Jade Serpents?" "Rivals. They've been trying to kill me for months." He touched his shoulder wound absently. "Tonight they almost succeeded." "Why?" "Because I'm trying to leave." That surprised her. "Leave?" Jun-ho's expression darkened. "This life, the violence, the blood, I wanted out. They took it personally." "So you drag innocent people into your war?" "I didn't drag you." His eyes locked on hers. "God did." She laughed bitterly. "God doesn't work with criminals." "Doesn't he?" Jun-ho stood slowly, wincing. David was a murderer. Paul was a terrorist. Peter was a coward. And yet, he moved closer, not threatening, just present. "I didn't want this," he said quietly. "You and your son. But the moment your boy saw me, the moment you made the choice to help, our fates connected. I don't believe in fate. You believe in something. I heard you praying in the car." Minji's breath caught. She hadn't realized she'd prayed aloud. Jun-ho studied her face with an intensity that made her skin warm. "You're running from someone." It wasn't a question. "That's none of your business." "It is now." He reached past her, She flinched, but he was just closing the door for privacy. Tell me who, I'll handle it. You'll kill him? If necessary. The casual way he said it, like offering to pick up groceries, chilled her. I don't want more blood, she whispered. Sometimes blood is mercy. Junho's voice dropped. I know what men like that do. How they hunt, how they hurt. If he's stalking you, he won't stop until you're dead or his. Minji's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. I just want to be invisible. You can't be invisible anymore. His hand lifted, hesitated, then gently touched her cheek. But you can be protected. The touch shattered something in her. She jerked back. Don't. I'm sorry. He dropped his hand immediately. I overstepped. You're a criminal. Yes. I should hate you. You should. But my son is safe for the first time in months. The admission broke from her. And I am too. Junho's expression softened into something almost human. Then stay, until it's finished. And then you're free. She didn't believe him, but she nodded anyway. The days blurred together. Taemin loved the penthouse, the big TV, the endless snacks, the way Haewon played with him like a grandmother. Minji watched Junho heal. He was disciplined, controlled, working even while recovering. Phone calls in Korean and English. Meetings with dangerous-looking men. Orders given with quiet authority. But with Taemin, he transformed. The child had no fear of him. Would climb into his lap during breakfast, ask him questions about his scars, draw pictures of Mr. Kang the strong man. And Junho, this killer, this mafia boss, would answer patiently, his hard edges softening. One afternoon, Minji found them on the floor together, building a tower with blocks. Higher, Taemin demanded. Any higher and it'll fall, Junho warned. No, it won't. I'm lucky. Junho glanced at Minji, and something in his expression made her heart stutter. Yes, he said softly. You are. That night, after Taemin was asleep, Junho found Minji on the balcony. He reminds me of someone, he said. Who? My sister. Pain flickered across his face. She was 8 when she died. Minji's breath caught. I'm sorry. It was my fault. He stared at the city. I tried to leave the organization 6 years ago. They didn't accept my resignation. So they sent a message. A car bomb meant for me. She was in the car instead. The weight of his guilt was tangible. That's why you're trying to leave again. Minji realized. That's why I'll never stop trying. His jaw tightened. But every time I try, more people die. And now I've pulled you into it. I pulled myself in. Still, he finally looked at her. If I could go back, I would have died in that alley. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. Because then my son would be marked by murderers with no one to protect us. Minji stepped closer. You think you're a curse, but maybe you're the answer to a prayer I didn't know how to ask. Junho's eyes searched hers. You don't know what I've done. I know what you're doing now. For us. The space between them charged with something dangerous and tender. He raised his hand slowly, giving her time to move away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her cheek. You're the first good thing I've touched in 6 years. Minji's heart thundered. This can't happen. I know. But neither of them moved away. The attack came on the 8th day. Minji woke to the sound of gunfire. Not movie gunfire. Real gunfire. Sharp cracks that punched through walls and shattered glass. She grabbed Taemin, who started screaming, and dove into the reinforced closet Junho had shown her. Emergency protocol, he'd said. If anything happens, hide here. Don't come out until I get you. The closet was steel-lined, soundproofed. But Minji could still hear the chaos outside. Shouting. More shots. Something heavy hitting the floor. Taemin sobbed into her shoulder. Mama, I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. Just close your eyes. She prayed. Frantic. Desperate prayers without words. Just please, please, please. The silence that followed was worse than the noise. Minutes crawled by. Then the closet door opened. Junho stood there, blood on his face. Not his, she realized. Expression, ice cold. They're gone. You're safe. Minji stumbled out, holding Taemin. What happened? Jade serpents? They found us. He was already moving, pulling a bag from under the bed. "We're leaving. Now." "Where?" "Safe house. Different location. Move." They rushed through the penthouse. Minji glimpsed bodies. 3 men in black, unconscious or worse, and Junho's team securing the perimeter. Haewon appeared, shaken but functional. "Cars ready, sir." They descended through a private elevator, entered an underground garage, and climbed into an armored SUV. As they pulled away, Minji saw flames in the rearview mirror. "You're burning it," she whispered. "Evidence." Junho's voice was flat. "And a message." Taemin had stopped crying, now just clinging to Minji with wide, traumatized eyes. Junho noticed. His expression cracked slightly. "I'm sorry. I thought we had more time. How did they find us?" Someone told them. Who? His silence was answer enough. Betrayal. Inside his own organization. They drove to Gangwon Province, 2 hours from Seoul, to a compound hidden in the mountains. It was more fortress than home. Concrete walls, surveillance everywhere, armed guards at every entrance. But it had a yard where Taemin could run. And that night, after her son finally fell asleep, Minji found Junho on the roof, staring at the stars. "I should never have saved you," she said. He didn't argue. "No, but I did. Yes. And now my son has nightmares." Junho's shoulders tensed. "I'll end this, I swear." "How?" "By giving them what they want." He turned to face her. "Me. You're going to surrender?" "I'm going to challenge the Jade Serpent leader to a formal negotiation. Old world rules. If he accepts, this ends with words instead of bullets. And if he doesn't accept, then I kill him." The matter-of-fact tone chilled her. "You talk about murder like it's nothing." "It's not nothing." His eyes blazed. "It's everything. Every death I've caused is carved into my soul. But I'll add one more if it keeps you safe. I'm not worth... You're worth everything." He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. "You and Taemin. You're the first people in 6 years who've made me remember what I'm supposed to be protecting instead of what I'm supposed to be destroying." Minji's breath caught. Junho's hand came up, cupped her face. "I know this is wrong. I know I have no right, but if I die tomorrow, I need you to know. Meeting you was the first grace I've felt since my sister's funeral." Tears spilled down Minji's cheeks. "Don't die tomorrow. Then pray for me." His thumb brushed away her tears. "Because I've forgotten how." She kissed him. It wasn't planned. Wasn't wise. But her lips found his with desperate tenderness, and he responded like a drowning man finding air. The kiss was soft, aching, full of everything they couldn't say. When they broke apart, both breathless, Junho rested his forehead against hers. "I'll come back," he whispered. "I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. I keep all my promises." The next morning, he was gone. Haewon explained. He went to meet the Jade Serpent leader, neutral ground. If negotiations fail, she didn't finish. Minji spent the day in agonizing waiting. Taemin sensed her tension, stayed close, unusually quiet. At 3 p.m., Haewon's phone rang. Her face went pale. "What?" Minji demanded. "What happened?" "It was a trap." Haewon's voice shook. "They took him." The room tilted. "Where?" "We don't know. They're demanding a ransom, control of Mr. Kang's territories." "And if you don't pay?" Haewon met her eyes. "They'll execute him publicly. Tomorrow at dawn." Minji's world shattered. Then Haewon's phone buzzed again. She read the message, and her face drained of all color. "What now?" Minji whispered. "They took someone else." Haewon's voice broke. "They took Taemin's file from the penthouse raid. They know his daycare, his grandmother's address. They're threatening—" "No!" Minji grabbed the phone, read the message herself. "We have eyes on the child. Trade the boy for Kang Junho's freedom. Or we take both their lives." Her son was the ransom. Minji made the decision in 3 seconds. "I'll trade myself." Haewon grabbed her arm. "They want Taemin. They'll take me instead." Minji's voice was steel. "I'm his mother. That makes me valuable leverage. Tell them. Me for Junho. They can verify my identity. They know I matter to him. He'll never agree. He's not here to agree. Haewon hesitated, then made the call. The Jade Serpents accepted. Exchange location: an abandoned textile factory in Incheon. Time: midnight. Terms: Minji walks in alone, unarmed. Junho walks out free. They're lying, Haewon said flatly. They'll kill you both. I know. Minji looked at her sleeping son through the bedroom doorway. But maybe they'll hesitate long enough for you to get him somewhere safe. You're sacrificing yourself. I'm choosing. Minji's eyes burned. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing who I protect. She spent the remaining hours with Taemin, held him while he slept, memorized his face, wrote a letter she prayed he'd never have to read. At 11 p.m. she kissed his forehead and whispered, "Mama loves you more than the whole world. Be brave, my beautiful boy." Haewon drove her to Incheon in silence. At the factory, Minji stepped out of the car into cold darkness. The building loomed, broken windows, rusted metal, the smell of decay. Figures emerged from the shadows. 5 men, armed. The leader, scarred face, dead eyes, smiled. The cleaner. How romantic. Where's Junho? Inside. Alive, for now. He gestured with his gun. Walk. She did. Through the factory floor, past old machines, into a room where Junho was chained to a support beam. He was beaten, face swollen, blood on his lips. But when he saw her, his expression went from pain to horror. No. His voice cracked. Minji, no. It's okay, she said softly. You shouldn't be here. I know. The Jade Serpent leader laughed. Or isn't this sweet? The criminal and the saint. He grabbed Minji's arm, dragged her close to Junho. Here's the new deal, he said. I kill her. You watch, then you give me everything you own, or I find the boy and kill him too. Junho's face went white. Please, please, don't. Begging now. The leader pressed a knife to Minji's throat. The great Kang, Junho, begging. Minji felt the blade, cold, sharp. She looked at Junho and smiled. It's okay. I'm not afraid anymore. Minji, you taught me that, how to stop running. Tears streamed down her face. Thank you. Junho's eyes filled with anguish. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. Don't be. Her voice was peaceful. You were my miracle. The leader raised the knife. Then the lights went out. Gunfire erupted, not from the Jade Serpents, but from outside. Different weapons, different rhythm. The leader cursed, released Minji, shouted orders. In the chaos, someone cut Junho's chains. He grabbed Minji, pulled her down behind a machine as bullets pinged off metal. What's happening? She gasped. Reinforcements. His voice was fierce. I called in every favor I had, every ally, every debt. The battle was swift and brutal. When the lights flickered back on, the Jade Serpents were down. Junho's team, 20 men, secured the building. And walking through the door was a man in a police uniform. Not just any police, commissioner's insignia. He looked at Junho. You're lucky I owed your father a blood debt. Thank you, Commissioner Park. The officer's gaze shifted to Minji. This is her. Yes. She's brave. Stupid, but brave. He sighed. The Jade Serpents are finished. We'll handle the cleanup. You handle your retirement. Junho nodded slowly. It's done. I'm out. Good. Commissioner Park turned to leave, then paused. Kang, don't make me regret this. When they were alone, Minji turned to Junho, trembling. You called the police. I called everyone. He cupped her face with shaking hands. I traded everything. My territories, my power, my reputation. I gave it all away to get you back. Why? Because you were right. His voice broke. I don't want to be this anymore. I want to be the man your son draws pictures of. I want to be someone you don't have to be ashamed of. Minji started crying. Deep, gasping sobs of relief and exhaustion. Junho pulled her into his arms, held her while she shattered and reformed. I thought I was going to die, she whispered. You're not dying. He kissed her hair, her forehead, her tear-stained cheeks. You're living. We both are. What happens now? Now, he pulled back to look at her. Now we go get your son. And then we build something new. Together? If you'll have me. His eyes were vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. I'm a sinner trying to be saved. I don't know if I deserve grace, but I'm asking anyway. Minji kissed him, soft and sure. Grace isn't about deserving, she whispered. It's about choosing. Then I choose you. And I choose you. In the ruins of a textile factory, surrounded by the wreckage of a criminal empire, two broken people found something neither expected: hope. The drive back to Gangwon province took 3 hours. Junho held Minji's hand the entire way, as if afraid she'd disappear. When they arrived at the safe house, Taemin was awake, sitting with Haewon, face streaked with tears. The moment he saw his mother, he ran. "Mama!" Minji caught him, lifted him, held him so tight he squeaked in protest. "I'm here, baby. I'm here. I'm never leaving again." Taemin looked at Junho over her shoulder. "Mr. Kang, you came back." "I promised, didn't I?" Junho's voice was rough. The boy reached for him, and Junho took him carefully, holding both mother and child like they were made of glass. "Are the bad men gone?" Taemin asked. "Yes," Junho said firmly. "They're gone. Forever. Forever." Taemin hugged his neck. "Good, because Mama was scared, and I don't like when Mama's scared." Minji touched Junho's face, bruised, exhausted, but alive. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "I always will." The next morning, Junho called a meeting with his remaining lieutenants. Minji watched from the doorway as he formally dissolved his territories, redistributed power, and announced his retirement. "Effective immediately, I'm out," he said. "No negotiations, no returns. This life is over." One man, older, scarred, spoke up. "What will you do?" "Live." Junho glanced at Minji. Honestly, there were murmurs, but no one argued. When the meeting ended, Junho found Minji in the garden where Taemin was playing. "It's done," he said. "Just like that. Just like that." He sat beside her on the bench. "I transferred my remaining assets into a legitimate business fund, restaurants, real estate, clean money. And your enemies?" "Commissioner Park made it clear. I'm under protection. Anyone who touches me or mine answers to the law now." Minji processed this. "So you're free? As free as someone with my past can be." He took her hand. "But I want to use that freedom for something good." "Like what?" "Like helping you open that cleaning business you dreamed about." She stared. "How did you—" "Haewon told me. You wanted to open a small business. Give yourself and Taemin stability." He smiled slightly. "What if it wasn't small? What if we started a company, legitimate, ethical, something that employs people who need second chances? If you want." His eyes were uncertain. "I know I have no right to ask." "Yes." Junho blinked. "Yes. Yes. I want to build something with you." Minji squeezed his hand. "But not because I need you to save me. Because I choose to walk beside you." His expression cracked into something beautiful. "I don't deserve you." "Stop saying that." She leaned close. "We're both broken. We're both scared. But together, maybe we can be whole." Junho kissed her then, soft, reverent, full of promise. Taemin noticed and ran over. "Are you Mama's boyfriend now?" Junho looked at Minji, questioning. She laughed. "I think so." "Good." Taemin climbed onto Junho's lap. "Can we get a dog?" "Absolutely not," Minji said. "We'll see," Junho said at the same time. They looked at each other and laughed, the first real laughter either had felt in years. That evening, Minji called her ex-husband's number one last time. When Dong-wook answered with his usual menace, she said simply, "Stop looking for me. If you come near my son again, you'll answer to Kang Junho. Look up the name. Then decide if you still want to play this game." She hung up. The phone never rang again. 2 weeks later, they moved to a new apartment in Seoul. Modest but comfortable, with a bedroom for Taemin and windows that filled with light. Junho slept on the couch, respecting boundaries, taking things slow. But every morning he made breakfast, and every evening he read stories to Taemin, and every night Minji thanked God for the mistake that became a miracle. One night, as they sat on the balcony after Taemin was asleep, Minji asked, "Do you ever regret it? Giving up your empire?" Junho looked at the city, Seoul's endless lights. "I thought power would make me matter," he said quietly. "But it just made me empty. This, you, Taemin, this quiet life, this makes me matter. You always mattered. Not like this." He pulled her close. "I spent 15 years building an empire of fear. I want to spend the rest of my life building a family of love." Minji rested her head on his shoulder. "That sounds like Grace to me. It sounds like you." They sat in comfortable silence, two survivors who'd found each other in the darkness. And for the first time in years, neither was afraid of tomorrow. 5 years later, Minji stood in front of the new office building, watching workers install the sign, Kang and Min, Cleaning Services. A second chance company. The business had grown beyond her wildest dreams. What started as a small cleaning company now employed over 200 people, mostly women escaping abuse, men leaving gang life, immigrants needing work, anyone who needed a second chance. They cleaned offices, hotels, hospitals, but they also trained employees in business skills, offered childcare, provided legal aid. It was a company built on redemption. Junho approached from behind, wrapped his arms around her waist. "Happy," he murmured. "So happy I'm scared," she admitted. "Don't be scared." He kissed her temple. "We've earned this." They'd been married for 3 years. The wedding was small, just Taemin, Haewon, Commissioner Park, and a few trusted friends. No mafia, no underworld, just love. Taemin, now 9, ran out of the building, excited. "Mama, the break room has a foosball table." "I know, baby," Uncle Junho insisted. "Uncle Junho is the best." Taemin launched himself at Junho, who caught him with practiced ease. They'd never officially told Taemin to call him that. The boy just started, and it stuck. Last year, Junho officially adopted him. The papers were framed in their living room. "Can we get ice cream to celebrate?" Taemin asked. "Sure," Minji said. "But then homework." Ugh. They walked through Seoul's evening streets, a family, unremarkable, blending into the city's heartbeat. No one recognized Junho anymore. The man who'd once ruled the underworld was now just a businessman with kind eyes and a gentle manner. He volunteered at churches, funded rehabilitation programs, spoke at schools about leaving gang life. His past was public knowledge. He'd never hidden it, but his present was radically different. At the ice cream shop, Taemin chattered about school while Minji and Junho shared knowing glances. "You're staring," she whispered. "I'm memorizing," he countered. "Every moment, in case I wake up and this was all a dream." It's not a dream, then it's a miracle. That night, after Taemin was asleep, they sat on their apartment balcony, the same ritual they'd kept for 5 years. "I've been thinking," Minji said, "about that night, when I found you in the alley. What about it? I prayed that morning, begged God for a miracle." She looked at him, and hours later, there you were, bleeding, desperate, dangerous. You think I was the answer? "I think we were both the answer." She took his hand. "You needed someone to save. I needed someone to fight for me. God put us in each other's path." Junho was quiet for a long moment. "I've killed people," he finally said. "Done terrible things. Some days I don't understand why I get this life." "Because grace isn't fair," Minji said softly. "It's just free." He pulled her close, and they sat under Seoul's stars. Two people who should never have met, who should never have survived, but did, and built something beautiful from the wreckage. Inside, Taemin stirred, called out, "Mama." Minji started to rise, but Junho stopped her. "I'll go." She watched him disappear into the apartment, heard his gentle voice soothing their son back to sleep. This was the man who'd once commanded an empire through fear. Now he commanded a child's nightmares away through love. Minji closed her eyes and prayed, not begging this time, but thanking. For the mistake that became destiny, for the danger that became safety, for the criminal who became family. And somewhere in the vastness of God's strange mercy, she felt a response. This was always the plan. When Junho returned, he found her smiling. "What?" he asked. "Nothing." She kissed him. Everything. They stood together on the balcony, looking at the city that had almost destroyed them, but instead became the backdrop for their redemption. I love you, Junho said. I love you too. And in that simple exchange, two broken souls found what they'd both been searching for: home. If you made it to the end of this story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from, and click the yellow bell to subscribe to the channel and support us. Keep the adventure going by clicking on the suggested video on your screen.